how do you even get products into Shopify?
When you're starting out, just take it one thing at a time and build on it. You don't have to be perfect at everything, but you want to try and make sure that you are not overwhelmed. Because if you load 10 apps, how are you going to get everything done and set up and run everything all at once? It's not possible to, it's going to zap your energy. It's going to just demotivate you, and you might end up closing your store because you've put so much onto yourself. So just keep that in mind when you're starting out, because it's tough when you're starting out. It's long hours. It's always long hours, and then until you can pull in some help. So,
and that's actually one of the reasons why, like, even in our packages, we've always had, well, maybe not on day one, but I learned very quickly, that we have a limit on the number of apps that we help you with and it's not just because of our time spent on these. It's also like, we know from experience, what you guys are going to get the most out of and what you're not, and what makes sense. And, even a larger store, it still doesn't make sense to add 5, 6, 7 apps at once.
Right.
It just, you need to take things one step at a time and always optimize and maximize before you move on. So, yeah.
So if apps are like the extra shiny things that you can, implement slowly as you find you need them, something you can't do without in your store is products, because you need something to sell. So when it comes to products, here's just like a real basic question is, how do you even get products into Shopify?
Yeah. Well, actually, it sounds simple, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it really, really isn't. So if you're really starting from scratch, like a brand new business, this is ideal, especially if you're starting from Shopify. It's as simple as, like, in the menu, products, upload, you're going to add your photo, add your title, price, options. So for example, size, color, all of that kind of stuff. So that part is pretty simple. And there's a lot of tutorials. I believe, have one on our YouTube on that, but if not, you can always email us and we can send you one. We have that. So anyway, basic product uploading is fairly easy, but if you're coming over from Etsy or, another platform or another POS, like you have a POS and you want to make sure that your inventory syncs, things do start to get pretty hairy. So this is another thing you want to consider before you venture into anything, is just know that, like, this is going to take some extra time and or resources to figure out, to maintain, all that kind of stuff. And there's different ways you can go. I mean, if you're moving from one platform to another entirely, you can do things through spreadsheet. That I know we do have on our website, at least in terms of how you can bulk upload products, which, I have some team members here at Hot Mess that are totally like spreadsheet people. They love spreadsheets. And so like that really works well for them. I can get into a spreadsheet, but it's not like I'm not in love with them. I almost would rather just like upload them one by one, as painful as it is, than do that spreadsheet. But if you're into it, and it really can save you a lot of time, because you can enter in all of your information other than your photos, right? It'll pull it all in exactly the way that it needs to be. And then you just add your photos from there. So, but yeah, so basic product upload is not challenging, but there can be some nuances for sure.
So you mentioned photos. So if somebody is just starting out with their boutique, brand new, like, how important is product photos? Like, do they need to take their own photos? Can they use stock photos? Like, what is your opinion about photos on the website?
You were like, do you want to go?
Yeah. Sure. Don't overcomplicate it. I think we overthink things. Smartphones these days have fabulous cameras. As mentioned previously, just make sure consistency with regards to image sizes when you upload them. I think that is maybe the most biggest thing out of all, is that upload image size. Make sure that they are always the same dimensions, so same width by same height. That way, when someone hits your store, they all look pretty in a line, they're all the same size, and then you don't have a big photo and small photo and a big photo and small photo. That just looks less professional than, all of them the same size.
Landscape, portrait, like square. Yeah.
So just don't overthink it. We've got some great resources on actually taking some photos with a smartphone from our design team, which is stellar when you're just starting out. Don't overthink it. I mean, great photos, professional photos are amazing and will just level up your brand, but it doesn't mean you can't take professional photos with your phone, professional looking photos with your phone.
Yeah, totally. The other thing, so stock photos, product stock photos are definitely a little bit of a dirty word around here. You absolutely can. And again, in the beginning, what's most important is revenue. So if you're able to bring in revenue using stock photos, by all means, keep doing it until you get to a point where you're able to do more, but also be willing to at least play around with it. Because this is an example of something that's trial and error. And it's just crazy because what works for one business might not work for the next. And I've seen clients that are killing it that literally, this is the term that I use, is like the dirty mirror selfie. That's the term I use, but like, I see it all the time. And if it works, keep doing it. Like, go, don't worry about that. It's not like at the end of the day, like, there are things that are important. There are things that can boost your, brand's image and, your brand's trustability and your brand's professionalism. But at the end of the day, people are shopping from other people, like these days, they want to know who you are, like why you're doing this, why it matters, like a little bit about you, like they don't care necessarily if that photo isn't like tip top, and that's why, I actually would prefer like a terrible photo. Not that I would call anybody's photos terrible, but to a stock photo. Absolutely. Because the thing about those stock photos, especially the ones from regular vendors, now there's a lot of really cool small business vendors, I like to call them, that their stock photos are beautiful and they're regular people. Not that these models in the studios for these other, bigger brands are not real people. They absolutely are, but their plus size is barely an extra large, probably not even. They really just look like a large, their smaller models are often, really thin. And you know what, size doesn't matter because you're going to have customers of all sizes too. And, inclusivity is so important, all of that stuff. So, but it's more about relatability. That's what it's really about. Like, can your customer look at that photo and imagine themselves, in that item? Are they doing poses that look natural, where we can really see how an item falls and fits around different curves and shapes? Are they, heck, I can't tell you the number of clients that I see constantly on Facebook with their like booty sticking out so they can be like, look, it's not see-through, or whatever the case is. It makes your butt look amazing. So, that little bit of personality and personal touch and feeling like they can connect with that photo and imagine themselves in it really does go a long way. So even if it's not a great photo, I think that that's usually a step up from those standard stock photos. The other issue with stock photos is even though this is how I feel about photos, there's still so many business owners that are using them. So, whether you're running Facebook ads, or, working on your SEO to drive organic traffic, like people are seeing the same exact photos everywhere. And that's a problem. They're not going to understand where those items are really coming from, or you're going to rank lower in algorithms because, these days, Facebook and Google pick up on that. So those are some other things to consider, but so just take the photos. When you get to the point where you can afford professional photography, do that. But in the meantime, do the best you can and always do better. And I mean, listen, we've seen it all. Like I've seen someone use, but I pray to God they don't listen to this, but I've seen someone use inflatable mannequin, whatever, like laying down even, to show a pair of jeans. And by golly, if you sell it that way, man, keep going, but always try to do better than you did the day before too,
The end product is to sell that product. I mean,
right.
flat lace, model photos, hang it on a cup, hang it on the wall, just do it. And do better, like Angela said the next day. Keep learning, keep growing, and that's all you can do when you're starting out.
Yes.
So another question that people might have when they're starting out, when it comes to their products, is who they should be selling to, or which is your audience, who you're trying to reach. That's one question, but also just literally where, like, who should you be selling to? Like, should you ship worldwide, or should you ship only, should you only sell, in the US, or what are your thoughts about, like, getting set up with Shopify and where you're going to ship your products to?
I mean, luckily, like, it's actually very simple to ship internationally on Shopify. So I wouldn't necessarily be afraid of it. The only thing you want to make sure that if you offer it, that you are pricing it correctly, to where you're not going to end up like, just spending more than the item even costs, to ship it out. So you want to, I usually recommend just doing like a flat rate of like $15 or $20 at least, and I haven't really had a problem like in my past e-commerce shops doing it that way. But at the same time, you're not also very likely to get international orders if you're from the US.
Need more? Check out the blog at hotmessblog.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel too. Cheers!